I was watching Dr. Phil last night, and he said something that really stuck out to me. This guy, one of the Nelk boys, his name's Steiny, he asked him, do you feel like the victim mentality that we see that everyone has been adopting so much lately, if you look around, you see that this is just off the charts. Everybody is constantly looking at how they've been done wrong by. They're identifying with different groups, and essentially the mainstream narrative, in especially the United States, is that if you identify with this group, you're basically putting on that victim cape, that victim costume. There's so much division in our culture right now, and no matter who you identify with, whatever group that you're identifying with, that's the group that's been marginalized. That's the group that's been wrong. That's the group that's been treated unjustly and unfairly. And he asked him this question: do you think that being a victim is an excuse? And because people don't want to deal with it, people don't want to deal with life anymore. And an escape. He said, it's an escape for wanting to put in the hard work. He said, of course it's an excuse. It's like you want the government to come in, take care of everybody, but that's a myth. And he was like, all these old sayings, like a stitch in time saves nine, and all these types of old sayings, there's a reason that they're old sayings. And that is because they are revealing and speaking on some profound truths. And he said, the saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch. When the government, for example, he used an example, when the government comes in and puts people on assistance and does this and does that, it's not a free lunch, because it steals people's self-esteem. It steals their self-worth, and it steals their initiative, and it steals their future. That is not a free lunch. It's very expensive. That sentence right there is so true. It is so powerful. And no matter what you hear, no matter what is getting perpetuated, that you feel like you've been treated unjustly, and it feels good because on an emotional level, you're like, yes, I feel heard. I feel like my emotions are being validated. I want to just live in this feeling like I've gone through the unjust treatment and live in that victim mentality. You can do that. You can have that. And honestly, it is good to allow those emotions to pass through you when you've gone through tough situations. It's not good to suppress your emotions completely. But what happens when you live there on a day-to-day basis is that you completely have abdicated, you've completely let go of all of your power. Because now you're saying, this outside force, whether it's the government, whether it is the news, whether it is this group or that group, they have all the power over me. And I am now at the effect of this group. I am now living in reaction to what these people have done. And again, your personal power, you have abdicated all your personal power. You have given it away. You have voluntarily handed your power away. And that's what I thought was so profound about what he said there. Now I have another quote that I'm going to read, or another excerpt from Naval Ravikant's Almanac, which is Naval. If you're not familiar with Naval, he is a thought leader. He's also a software developer, entrepreneur, extremely successful, extremely intelligent. And he has this chapter in the book that says, "Shed your identity to see reality." There's a quote here that says, "Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are." So he says you absolutely need habits to function. You can't solve every problem in life if it's the first time it's thrown at you. We accumulate these habits over the course of our life. We bundle them into our identity, our ego, ourselves, and then we get attached to them. So, for example, I am, insert your name here. This is the way that I am. It's really important to be able to uncondition yourself and to be able to take your habits apart and say, okay, this is a habit I probably picked up when I was a toddler, trying to get my parents' attention. Now I've reinforced it and reinforced it. I call it part of my identity. Does it still serve me? Does it still make me happier? Does it still make me healthier? Does it make me accomplish what I set out to accomplish? Any belief you take in a package, for example, a Democrat, a Catholic, an American, is suspect and should be reevaluated from base principles. He says, I try not to have too much pre-decided. I think creating identities and labels locks you in and keeps you from seeing the truth. To be honest, speak without identity. He says, I used to identify as a libertarian, but then I'd find myself defending positions I hadn't really thought through because they're a part of the libertarian canon. If all your beliefs line up into neat little bundles, you should be highly suspicious. I don't like to self-identify on almost any level anymore, which keeps me from having too many of these so-called stable beliefs. We each have contrarian beliefs which society rejects, but the more our own identity and local tribe reject it, the more real it likely is. And again, this goes back to that group think, the madness of group think. The more that we can tightly and neatly bundle our ideology into that which fits right real neatly into this group ideology, the more likely that we are just taking on this persona, taking on this identity, taking on this bundle of beliefs which are not of our own creation. And our thoughts are no longer our own. We are just simply adopting somebody else's thoughts and running a predetermined program that somebody has enforced onto us. There are two attractive lessons about suffering in the long term. It can make you accept the world the way it is. The other lesson is it can make your ego change in an extremely hard way. Maybe you're a competitive athlete and you get injured badly, like Bruce Lee. You have to accept being an athlete is not your entire identity, and maybe you can forge a new identity as a philosopher. He said, Facebook redesigns, Twitter redesigns, personalities, careers, and teams also need redesigns. There are no permanent solutions in a dynamic system. Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. Radical honesty just means I want to be free. You should never, ever fool anybody, and you are the easiest person to fool. The moment you tell somebody something dishonest, you've lied to yourself. Then you start believing your own lie, which will disconnect you from reality and take you down the wrong road. And this right here is what happens when we start to believe these ideologies that are, again, put onto us. They are messaging that we have just essentially, like I said, we take them in without really analyzing them through a critical lens, because we see this person, that person in our environment, whether it's our teachers, whether it's our parents, whether it is our peers, and we say, oh, these people are running this script, they're running this program, now I'm just going to adopt this program. I'm just going to adopt this line of thinking. You know what? I'm not even going to assess whether the results that these people are getting are the results that I want in my life. I'm just going to adopt them because these people are just in my proximity. And this is what happens, like I've talked about in recent videos, when you adopt the beliefs, you adopt the same identity as your coworkers at your job. Well, what type of relationships do your coworkers have? Are they living a solid quality life? Are they high quality individuals? Because more than likely, if they're going around talking about how shitty their relationships are, how frustrated they are with work, how they're not where they want to be in life, then probably it's not going to serve you very well to identify with and adopt the exact same beliefs and attitudes that they have about all those different realms of reality. In fact, it's going to work against you. So it's very, very imperative. This all goes back to right now, whatever you are identifying as. That's why Naval says to shed your identity. It's almost all constructed. Like he said, whether you identify as this religion, this political affiliation, this group of people. You know what the commonality between all those things are? Is identifying as a victim, the victim mentality. Because if you say, oh yeah, look at this angle of the news. This angle is telling me that all conservatives have had it really tough lately. But if I look at this news channel, they're telling me that, oh, the Democrats are just suffering right now and nobody's willing to do the right thing from that point of view. And any source of information that you get, because it's all so heavily biased, is going to push you more and more and more into that victim mentality. And so what you need to do is disidentify with these groups of thinking, come back, honor and get in touch with yourself, your own identity, which you construct through your action and through your own thinking of what you think is right and what you think is a good decision, a bad decision, and live through that. Live through your own lens. Stop adopting all these different lenses and labels to live through. Anyways, guys, much love as always. Drop this video a like, drop me a comment, let me know what your thoughts are if this resonates with you. Hit me with a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.